and provided the infuriating fact that the pod dock was capable of upgrading Gar to heal within minutes instead of hours.
"Why didn't you give me that upgrade?" Gar demanded, a bit desperately.
He had a large bruise over one eye and was finding it difficult to see. Barnabas blinked at him. "Pain is useful," he said again. Gar privately swore that someday he would find a way to give Barnabas a bruise that wouldn't heal for a few hours. He'd bribe Shinigami to help him. He just needed to find something she wanted first. Maybe a way of cheating at chess. Unfortunately, it was difficult to be too angry at Barnabas, because the man pushed himself even harder than Gar did. He would strike the bag in a flurry of punches so fast Gar could not follow. The man always discussed the physics and efficacy of new techniques with Shinigami. They worked out new strike combinations, and Barnabas would train as though there were no end to his energy. All this had impressed Gar, and that was before they had gone back to High Tortuga for a few days. During that time, Barnabas had sparred with a few of his colleagues from the former Etheric Empire. Gar had watched in awe, totally terrified. Potentially bone-crushing blows missed by mere fractions of an inch, or landed and somehow didn't slow the combatants. Even covered in bruises and blood, the humans seemed to enjoy brawling. Gar had decided that this was either inspiring or a sign of madness. He still hadn't figured out which. He started his exercises again, taking care to follow form and not go too fast or overextend. Barnabas had said time and again that form was the most important thing. Everything else flowed from that. Practice a strike incorrectly, and you could spend months unlearning poor habits. Gar was already behind the curve. He didn't have time to unlearn anything. He barely had time to learn things in the first place.
How close are we to— Ow!
His knuckles hit the bag wrong and skidded, leaving a trail of irritated skin.
How close are we to the Syndicate's base?
Not far, Barnabas replied. He looked down at the chessboard and gave Shinigami a mock-angry look. Whatever move she had made, or whatever cheating strategy she had employed, had him rolling his eyes. "We're heading to Shu Base first to meet up with someone who might have the schematics. I want to make sure there will be no nasty surprises."
That's why we're in the middle of nowhere, Gar exclaimed in understanding.
"You lived on High Tortuga," Barnabas remarked. "That's in the middle of nowhere. Shu Base is only moderately in the middle of nowhere." Gar shook his head and went back to the punching bag. He was glad he was on the Shinigami. He would not want to fly out here all alone. A lot of people made their living as pirates, robbing the ships that passed through. In the case of this ship, though, they would be biting off considerably more than they could chew. Zinked was exhausted. They drifted out here waiting for a mark to come along for the past 3 weeks, and so far there had been a lot of nothing. In the first week, 2 cargo haulers had come by, but both had looked like they might be too well guarded to be viable targets. Now, Zinked thought maybe they should have gone for those. He poured himself a cup of stim drink. The stuff tasted terrible to a Hieto palate, but it did its job and would keep him awake for the 3 hours left on his shift. He plodded back through the ship and up to the cockpit. He yawned and scratched at his scalp where the scales were more densely packed. Hieto had built-in armor over their torsos and somewhat tougher skin on their heads, which was both a blessing and a curse. They were hard to stab, for instance, but a lot of spacesuits and other technology didn't work as well. Zinked had barely sat down before the alarms started to wail. It had been weeks since they'd sounded. He startled so violently that most of the cup of scalding stim drink hit him directly in the face. He was still swearing and wiping it away with the sleeve of his coveralls when the rest of the crew bolted to see what was going on.
"What kind of ship?"
Chofal, their Yofu mechanic, asked as she tumbled in the door, swinging her head side to side excitedly. Yofu's eyes were on the sides of their heads, which made them ill-suited for anything that involved a standard screen interface, but their wide-angle vision and double-thumbed hands were fantastic for mechanical work. The engine room had never been in better repair than it was now. I don't know yet," Zinked replied. He put the empty cup on the desk with a disgusted look. Now he was going to